Hi, my name's Naomi.
Hi, my name's Samantha. We're going to do the Cain and Abel story. Cain and Abel story.
Once upon a time, there was two people named Adam and Eve. They had two kids. Cain was the oldest, and Abel was the youngest. And the next day, they're giving God presents. Cain gave the dry fruits, and Abel gave the newborn sheep. When Cain gave the dry fruits, the fire went down. When Abel gave the newborn sheep, the fire went back up.
And then Cain said, "Let's go to the forest." And then Abel said, "Why are we here?" And then he said, "Come." And then he got a rock and started hitting it on Abel. And then he did the hole to put Abel in. And then Abel was dead. So then Cain was going to go back home. And then God said, "What did you do? Where is your brother?" And then Cain said, I'm not my brother's keeper." And then God said, "I see the blood stains on the ground. What have you done to your brother? You made him dead." And then Cain said, "What do I do? What do I do? What do I tell my parents?" And then God said, "Run until you die." The end.
Welcome to Bible Trivia. This time we'll be asking Guess Who questions. The first question for 100 points. In the Bible, this person builds a huge boat. Is it A. Moses, B. Jonah, C. Noah, or D. Elijah? The answer is C. In the Bible, Noah builds a huge boat. The next question for 200 points. He is a shepherd who used a slingshot to stop a giant. Is it A. Jacob, B. David, C. John, or D. Joshua? The answer is B. David is a shepherd who used a slingshot to stop a giant. The next question for lots and lots of points. They were thrown into a fiery furnace. Is it A. 3 Hebrew boys, B. 3 wise men, C. 3 Galileans, or D. 3 Babylonians? The answer is A. 3 Hebrew boys were thrown into a fiery furnace. The next question for 1/2 of a point. He delivered the 10 Commandments from God. Was it A. Elijah, B. Jacob, C. Moses, or D. Andrew? The answer is C. Moses delivered the 10 Commandments from God. The next question for 500 points. She is the mother of Jesus. Is it A. Mary, B. Joanna, C. Anna, or D. Esther? Esther. The answer is A. Mary is the mother of Jesus. The next question for supercalifragilistic number of points. He is Esau's twin brother. Is it A. Isaac, B. Jacob, C. David, or D. John? The answer is B. Jacob is Esau's twin brother. The next question for 1,000 points. She talks to a snake. Is it A. Eve, B. Ruth, C. Mary, or D. Joanna? The answer is A. It's Eve who talks to a snake. The next question for 12 points. He walks on water. Is the answer A. Matthew, B. Paul, C. James, or D. Jesus? The answer is D. Jesus walks on water. The next question for 800 points. He is a king known for his wisdom. Is it A. David, B. Solomon, C. Josiah, or D. Saul? The answer is B. King Solomon was known for his wisdom. Now the last question for double your current points. He was swallowed by a great fish. Is it A. Noah, B. Jonah, C. Aaron, or D. Adam? The answer is B. Jonah was swallowed by a great fish. Thanks for playing Bible Trivia. We hope you'll play again soon. Welcome to Bible Trivia. This time we'll be asking odd one out questions. The first question for 100 points. Which of these is not an Old Testament book? Is it A. Genesis, B. Jude, C. Psalms, or D. Obadiah? The answer is B. Jude is not an Old Testament book. The next question for 200 points. Which of these women was not at Jesus' tomb? Is it A. Mary, B. Martha, C. Joanna, or D. Mary Magdalene? The answer is B. Martha was not at Jesus' tomb. The next question for 1,000,000 points. Which of these was not one of the 12 disciples of Christ? Was it A. Paul, B. Peter, C. James, or D. Matthew? The answer is A. Paul was not one of the 12 disciples of Christ. The next question for a bunch of points. Which of these is not a New Testament book? Is it A. Revelations, B. Hebrews, C. Ecclesiastes, or D. Luke? The answer is C. Ecclesiastes is not a New Testament book. The next question for 4 points. Which of these is not part of the Holy Trinity? Is it A. Father, B. Son, C. Mary, or D. Holy Spirit? The answer is C. Mary is not part of the Holy Trinity. The next question for a few points. Which of these was not a gift of the 3 wise men? Is it A. Silver, B. Myrrh, C. Gold, or D. Frankincense? The answer is A. Silver is not a gift that the 3 wise men gave. The next question for a gajillion points. Which of these is not one of the 10 Commandments? Is it A. Put God first, B. Do not steal, C. Do not lie, or D. Do not share with your friends? The answer is D. do not share with your friends is not one of the 10 Commandments. The next question for 500 million points. Which one of these is not one of Noah's 3 sons? Is it A, Jethro, B, Shem, C, Ham, or D, Japheth? The answer is A. Jethro was not one of Noah's 3 sons. The next question for infinity points. Which one of these was not one of Jesus' brothers? Is it A, John, B, Jude, C, Joseph, or D, James? The answer is A. John was not one of Jesus' brothers. The last question for double your current points. Which of these was not a king in the Bible? Was it A, Luke, B, Josiah, C, David, or D, Solomon? The answer is A. Luke was not a king in the Bible. Thanks for playing Bible Trivia. We hope you'll play again soon.